Okay, so hello everyone. Good morning from Mumbai. So first of all, thank you very much for joining us today. It is always great to see all of you taking the time to be, here, and it's really honor to have a chance to spend some time on the weekend with all of you. But before we begin the session, let's quickly look at our standard announcement. So in our meeting today, we request everyone to express your viewpoint and question related to topic today. By default, those who are going to join as the participants will be on muted. You can raise your hand if you want to unmute yourself. You can always use MS Team chat feature or raise your hand if you want to ask any question or clarify any doubt. In this session, the environments that we have used, it's a trial environment and our own users Azure subscriptions, and it has no connection with our organization. And you can also tell us any specific topic that we want to cover in near future. Now let's look at the agenda today. So we will start with why are we here and who are we in terms of trying to cover in today's topic. Then we'll try to focus more on what value does finance and operation telemetry and app insights provides from a business and technology perspective. Then we'll go into more detail and understand introduction to the application insights. And then we'll take a pause and see why these changes are essential and now. Then we will also touch base the finance and operation apps integration with Azure App Insights, how it works under the hood. Then we will also spend some time on how we can build a custom telemetry for your custom or tailor-made business processes. And we will also look at bunch of GitHub repository that has been shipped by Microsoft and how we can use it as it is and for the further extension. We will also touch base one of the key and rather important topic for all the developers out there to understand how those data to be retrieved from the log tables by using the push to query. And then, but obviously, we will have the live demo. That live demo, we will try to see right from the configuration within Finance and Operation App and towards the Azure App Insights. We will also see how to enable the dashboards, how to import the existing dashboard, how to build your own dashboards as well. We will also try to touch base the correlation between the set of capabilities that Finance and Operation app and how it is mapped with the Azure Insights app. So it will be easy for you to understand the correlation between Finance and Operation app and Azure App Insights. And then towards the end, we will also try to touch base two key important aspects. One is the cost and second one is usage, right? So we'll spend some time and understand how to manage the cost, if at all, if you're going to enable this feature in your customer environments. And then we will have open discussion and Q&A. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So 2 weeks ago, we raised a poll on LinkedIn to gather the insights from community experts about the potential topic for our monthly meeting. And among the three topics, API management received close to 48% of votes in comparison with monitoring with app insights topic, while business process catalog received less interest. So based on the offline request that we received and from many of you, we decided to prioritize topic of monitoring with app insights first, and the remaining topic, which is the API management, that we will cover in the month of either end of April or somewhere mid of May. Okay, so that's a topic that we are going to discuss today. And once again, many thanks for the votes. So in terms of our introduction, my name is Rakesh. I'm Microsoft MVP, fast track recognized architect from Microsoft. And I'm here with today my friend Sukrut. Sukrut, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining on the weekend, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to share, knowledge about application insights. My name is Sukrut. I'm a Microsoft Business Applications MVP since last 5 years, and also fast track recognized architect. Yeah, we'll share more about application insights and try to go through the demos so that you can get better understanding about how it works and how it can be utilized within your implementations. Yeah. So over to you, Rakesh, for to start with the introduction. Yeah, of the topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Sukrut. Thank you. So let's move on to a the next slide. So before we get into the detailed aspects of finance and operation app, how it works with the application insights, let me start with a quick understanding of what value does finance and operation app as a telemetry and app insights provide, right? So if you look at the finance and operation app, telemetry gives the ability for customers or the organization to monitor their ERP solution, whether it is a standard out-of-the-box processes or whether it's a custom tailor-made business process, right? It basically allows or helps to how it is performing and how it is being used by the end users. At the same time, customer can also build their own dashboards and alert mechanism to proactively monitor the applications, basically to identify the performance issues or failures and so on and so forth, right? It can also be used reactive in nature in terms of troubleshooting the reported issues. Many times we have seen during the implementation cycle or post implementation cycles, there are few issues where we could not able to triage properly. That's where it helps to reactive in nature to troubleshoot the reported issues. Ultimately, it's going to also help to improve the application stability and the governance aspect as well as the performance and the but obvious the end users experience, right? So let me start with a quick overview of application insights, and we will focus on key areas of application insight. I think this slide probably will correlate for those who are coming from a non-dynamics background or may not having the enough idea on what is application insights and how it is marry with the finance and operation app telemetry feature, right? So let me just quickly give you a definition. Says it's a powerful monitoring and telemetry tool that provides deep insights into the application performance, errors, and users behavior, right? So in terms of, in a nutshell, it's basically a cloud-based telemetry and monitoring solution that integrates with finance and operation app. It also helps to track your system performance, bottlenecks, and dependencies, so on and so forth. And it also provides, rather captures the real-time application data. We will see in actions. We have built two or three use cases for you to understand in more detail how it captures the real-time application data, and it also the highlight the dependencies and uses trends, right? Now I'll move on to the next slide, which is nothing but the slide which gives you some sort of fair bit of idea in terms of the analogy. So now we understood, right? So at least we got a fair bit of idea what is Azure Application Insights and how it monitors the solution that integrate with finance and operation app. And to be honest with you, in fact, when I was preparing a talk for today's session, it took me a way back when we used to follow the paper maps to plan our road journey. And now in today's AI first and mobile first world, we are using the smart navigation app, right? That's how the transition happened into the smart navigation app. So let's quickly understand this analogy, right? So if you look at here, this is an old paper map which we used to use earlier. And imagine that you are planning a road trip using the paper map. And in early days, you had to plot your route manually, often relying on static maps that might not capture the real-time road conditions, right? And as the technology advanced, we have moved the standalone move into the GPS, and then it's converted into this smartphone offering and so on and so forth, right? So today you have a smartphone offering, right? Where we can see the real-time traffic update, route recalculation, even suggestions for stop along the way, right? So in the context of finance and operation app, the LCS monitoring service, right, that currently we do have, that represent the paper map era, which is static, manual, or sometimes reactive when you need to pivot the quickly from a data perspective. Whereas the app insights is represents the smartphone navigation app, which means it offers the real-time telemetry, your proactive alerts and dashboards, right? And also integrate with your ERP's health and the performance. So in a nutshell, what is the key takeaway from this slide is just as you would not plan your journey, right? With an outdated paper maps, when a smarter and real-time navigation is available. That's the reason it's time to transition from LCS to Azure App Insights for a more agile and intelligent ERP monitoring experience. I'll move on to next slide, and I want to just quickly touch base just to give you a brief explanation about this App Insights solution architecture view, so that if at all if you need that information to be digest, or if you want that discussion to be have with your customers, you should have a fair bit of idea, right? So just to give you a brief explanation here, you can read this slide from your left to right. So on your left side, we can see a various data sources such as application, the Azure platform itself, and the infrastructure. But from a finance and operation app perspective, it comes from a custom sources, and these data sources feeding data into the Azure monitor. Okay, this is the area, right? So, and Azure Application Insights is nothing but the feature of Azure Monitor. Okay, where first it's data will be ingested into your log analytical workspace, where the Azure Monitor keeps a track of changes, all the traces and your metrics, and put them into a log. And on the right hand side, you can see all bunch of applications that App Insights provides, right? Right from your Power BI dashboard and so on and so forth. You can also integrate that data with your Logic app, or for that matter, even hub services, if at all if you're using, so that you can take that information and you can have import and export of those APIs. So with that, I will move on to the next slide. So these are the four core prerequisites that we should understand when we are going to enable and leverage the elementary feature from finance and operation app perspective. First, you need active Azure subscriptions. Second, you need application insight environments in your Azure portal, and that requires the contributor or writer, or for that matter, admin rights. You would also need the application insights environments that should be a unique for an environment or a tenant. We will see that journey where I will hand over the demo to the Sukrut, and we need to also see the feature is turned on so that we can see it supported the managed environment, so on and so forth. In terms of the capability, just to give you a quick high level glimpse, you can see this diagram. We used to have the three core capability in the LCS, that is activity, health metric, and the SQL insights. I just try to plot the view here, that how those feature sets are transition or migrating into the directions of Azure App Insights, right? So first of all, the activity queries, those are also migrating into Azure App Insights. We'll see our respective tables where those queries are being stored. Then the health metrics and the SQL insights. Only the aspect of SQL action that is not migrating to Azure App Insights, those are kept purposefully for the support of Microsoft and the internal automation purposes. Then in terms of the integration overview from a finance and operation app with the Azure App Insights. On the left-hand side, it's a table structure that added what are the elementary type that financial operation apps. On the right-hand side, it's just the snapshots of the list of tables, that are the Azure tables that we have in the application insights, right? So if you look at the almost these six options, right, from the form load events, X++ exceptions, your warehouse elementary, your DMF errors, or for that matter, custom metrics or custom traces. All these aspects are storing into respective table. For an example, if you have a form where users have opened the form, or they have navigated or access the form, or you want to just see the load time, it's stored into the table, Azure table called page view in the application insight. Similarly, if you have any specific exceptions that you need to record in from X++ perspective, that stores into the exception tables. And if you have using the warehouse elementary, then that store all the custom events. Similarly, for DMF error, we have covered a story for you for a DMF error in the custom in the demo. We will see that action, how to build your own telemetry for your customer tailored processes. Now I'll move on to next slide, which is nothing but a very high level view how that dashboard look like, just to set the context, right? Because towards the end we will see the demo and we will also see how the dashboard to be look like. But if you want to see on the left hand side, just capture the snapshot of how the form uses dashboard look like. On the right hand side, you can see a error telemetry access. You can see all these dashboards and GitHub repository from the given link. I'll share that link once the session, the presentation is done. Okay. Then this slide talks about the very high level view of the Custo query. So those who are coming from a SQL background, that is Transact SQL, TSQL, and those who really understand how the Custo query works, predominantly for the purpose of retrieving the telemetry data within the Azure Data Explorer, then you can use this operators. I just trying to give the very high level operator, a bunch of other operators. There's a very nice MS Learn page which actually allows you to provide a kind of a cheat sheet from a SQL operators to the Custo query. So it will be easy for you to use that. We will see that in actions when we move on to the demo. Now I want to just touch base how it technically works under the hood. So there is a standard class sys application insights telemetry logger, which has a bunch of decorated methods, which actually captures how much time that your activity start and how much time it took to process in milliseconds, and then it track the event. On the right hand side, you can see there is a dedicated methods for track event, track page methods, and so on and so forth, and those automatically get fired. But what if I want to, custom my custom processes and I want to enable the telemetry? So there is also provision given by Microsoft in the framework itself where you can have the custom telemetry build through the X++. So these numbers 1, 2, and 3 that depict the sequence of that view. For an example, here we have created the my telemetry base class, which is nothing but the abstract class, and that in that abstract class we based on all the required information that we would need the Azure telemetry to be accessed. Then we have another class which is nothing but telemetry data management import class. You can give any name that you wishes to give as per the best practices, but the idea is to highlight it that in that class we added a third method, which is the extension of our DMF activity log table, and that's how we have called the main method that is being inside the my telemetry base class. So we will run through step by step in the demo. So I'll take a pause and I'll hand over mic to Sukrut for the demo. Sukrut, over to you.
Thank you, Rakesh. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, let me share my screen to start the demo. Let me know once you see my screen, okay? Can you confirm, Rakesh, if you can see my screen?
Yeah, I can see yours.
Okay, all right. So let's start with the demo. I first of all, to configure, I'll talk about prerequisites which are required, right? To configure App Insights with FNO, you need Azure subscription. Of course, you are working with customer environments. You need Azure subscription. Even if you want to try it by yourselves, you can try with your own subscription. You can sign up for the trial subscriptions, of course, and you can once you have your subscription, right? The first thing what you need is application insights. Create application insights workspace. So for that, you can search application insights in Azure, right? And um, right now in my environment, I have created these two app insights workspaces, one for my tier 2 environment and one for my dev environment. Okay. To create application insights, you'll simply click create, give the resource group. You can create your new resource group or you can use your existing resource group, right? Which you are using in your portal. Name it region, whatever region you want to place that application insights in, and then click create. Okay. I will use the existing one. Once you create application insight, right? What you need to configure it in FNO is those are two things, right? First is instrumentation key and the connection string. So you can copy these values for connecting your app insights with FNO instance. Okay. Once this is done, the setup on Azure's portion is done, right? And now we can move to for configurations in FNO. Okay, so this is my tier 2 instance where I want to connect my application insights workspace, which I created over there to my this particular environment, tier 2 environment. Okay, so for that, first of all, what you need is you need to go to feature management, and there is a feature uh, called monitoring and telemetry. So if you filter in your all features with monitoring, you will see a feature called monitoring and telemetry, which I enabled just 2 days back, right? So in my environment, so you can enable it from here. And once this is enabled, in your system administration module, you will be able to see in setup, system administration setup, you will be able to see monitoring and telemetry parameters form. Okay, so on this form, um, before even we talk about configuration tab, right? Let's first talk about environment. Okay, so the what you need here is first map environment to map environment to application insights. You need first environment ID. Now, from where you're going to get this environment ID, if you are familiar with LCS, you can go to LCS and get an environment ID from here, right? For your environment where you want to enable the application insights. Once this setup is done, the second step is now actually giving the information which we have seen when we created application insights. So I'll create new here. I'll select the environment, whether I want to enable it for development environment, test environment, or production environment. Okay. Um, Once that is done, I'll copy the instrumentation key, which I created in my first step when I created my application insight from here, and then use that instrumentation key in this particular field. After that, the third thing is the connection string, which is connection string, which we copied over here. We'll copy that and paste that connection string over here. Once this is done, your integration is set up, right? Integration is set up between your FNO environment and application insights, which we created in Azure portal. Now, um, let's talk about the configuration tab. So Rakesh has said one table, right, where you have seen there are different events which you want to track in application insights. So for that, you have an option. Microsoft has given option over here where you can enable whichever events you want to track, right? For example, if you want to track page views, you can enable this particular parameter. If you want to track user sessions, right, or custom events, you can enable these parameters. Similarly, exceptions, any DMF execution errors, warehouse, this specifically for warehouse supply chain related telemetry, things which are out of the box. If you want to log those, you can enable these parameters. And based on these parameters, your events will be logged in your application insights. Okay, so now once all this is configured, where you're going to see those events in application insights. So let's go to Azure, my application insights workspace here again. And once you visit this, over here, there is a monitoring tab. In monitoring, in the log section, you are going to see um, all your data being logged. Okay, so once you click on log, you get this query hub. Okay, you can ignore this or you can close this. And on the top left hand side over here, there is a section called tables, right? You can click over here if you want to look at the raw data, of course, right? So if you want to look at the raw data, you can look at these tables. Now, how you're going to query these tables is that is where the Kusto comes in picture, right? So that is where you need Kusto queries to query your tables. Okay, so for example, if I want to look at page views, okay, so what I will do for simply, if you want to run look at the page view data, you can click here run and just click run here, and it will display you all the page views which are logged, which all the forms which I opened within the system over here. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's quickly before we'll talk about Custos later, but let's quickly see how the form or page views gets logged. So for example, let me open security configurations form. Okay, and couple of forms. Let me open those just to show you how system logs those views, page views. Okay, I think that's enough. So let me go back to this workspace and quickly run this again. So it takes little bit of time. It's asynchronous integration. So it takes little bit of time, but all the page views gets logged over here, and you can see the data over here. Okay, so let me come back to this. Few more forms. Surprisingly, I don't see any form views getting logged here. Um, Let me open it from here. Okay, so here it is. It takes some little bit of time. So here it is. I opened this is security configuration form. I opened this is database log form and operational insights menu display form, right? So you can see these forms are just now logged over here with the time bucket, right? And if you want to look at the more details, you can see this custom dimension array fields or JSON field, where within that you can see which environment, which legal entity, and different things. And you have a control over, if you want to log a custom telemetry using your custom classes, you have a control over which properties you want to log in the application insights. Okay. So now let's take a look at now as we looked at this the standard feature where we have form page views gets logged, right? Like that for different things, like for DMF errors, custom events, we have this custom events table. For exceptions, any exceptions which are occurs within the systems, we have this exceptions table, which you can see, there are system exceptions being logged over here, any system exceptions, any errors within the system, right? You can see over here. Similarly, for any traces, any kind of dependencies, right? You can see different tables they have created over here, right? Now, if you want to query these tables, the only option you can do is using the KQL mode, which is Kusto query mode, right? So Kusto query is nothing but a simple it's similar to SQL, right? But language where you can query, structured, unstructured data, or semi-structured data using this Kusto query. It's very simple. Syntax-wise, I'll show you the syntax queries, more complex queries when I'll show you dashboard in few minutes. But if you want to, for example, query page views table and first top 10 records, right? So the simple syntax to do that is, table name. You can just write pipe here and say tech 10, right? I want to 10 or 100 records, first 100 records, and run. In that way, you will get all those 100 records, right? Instead, we don't have that those many records as these are my own environment. So let's say 10 records, and you will get those 10 records over here. So similarly, there is a you can, if you visit this page, learns page, which I'll share in the chat, you have Rakesh has already shared the SQL cheat sheet where you can get the equivalent of simple SQL queries and equivalent Kusto queries over here, right? Let's so let's do one thing. Let's see now how we can build our own dashboards, right? By using some sample dashboards which Microsoft has provided in their GitHub repositories. So in order to build your dashboards, what you have to do is you have to go to dataexplorer.azure.com, okay, /dashboards, and you will land over here in this page. You can go to dashboards um, screen, and in Microsoft GitHub repository, they have shared um, the um, they have shared the samples for enabling the dashboards. Okay, so let me paste a link for that as well in chat. You can download it from there. But once you visit this dashboard screen, um, Azure dashboard screen, um, you know, um, and dashboard screen, you can download those dashboards. And when you download those, you will download those JSON files from the Microsoft GitHub repository. Okay, so for example, I have this D365 FO monitoring forms dashboard. Okay, so I'll select this file because I'm creating dashboard from file and say app demo and create. Now, once you create this, you will receive a bunch of errors over here because these dashboards might be connected to some different application insights, which is which right now this dashboard is not able to recognize. So what you need to do to connect it to your app insights, which we created in the very first step, is click on data sources, okay, and click edit. So I'll say here app insights demo, and then you have to enter this cluster URL. Now I'll show you how you can, what you need to do to form this cluster URI. Okay, so this cluster URI is nothing but your subscription ID of your app insights. Okay, over here, then your app insights name and app insights name, and then app insights workspace name, or sorry, app insights name and app insights workspace name, right? So let me show you from where you can copy these values. So if I go to my D365 FNO app insights here in overview, um, this is my resource group, this DS D365 FO app insights. So I got my resource group from here, the subscription ID, which is, we minimize this. The subscription ID ending with 601C, this one is subscription ID. This is my resource group, and this is my app insight name, application insights name over here. So I'll copy this, okay, and I'll go to my dashboards and delete this and connect this. Once you connect this, you can select your application insight database. Usually the database is the same name as your application insights, and apply and close. And as soon as you do this, you can see, the forms which I have opened over here, right? So for example, I just now opened sys database log form, right? Once only. So you can see over here, the sys database log form is listed. Similarly, the whatever form which I have opened over here, the number of count of those forms is displayed over here. Similarly, over here, you can see the average duration, minimum duration to open each form over here. You can see it over here, right? And of course here, form duration trend, so which form gets executed more in the last 7-day execution, which form got executed more from the UI, that kind of telemetry data you can see it from here, right? Now these dashboards are again behind the scenes. In these dashboards there is nothing but Kusto queries. So let me show you the how these queries are built, right? You can take a look at those queries and see how the syntax is very simple, right? So page views, this is again the table which we saw over here when I go to app insights, logs, and tables. um, Let me close this, tables, page views. So they are querying this page view table from here, and with this simple with the pipe where condition timestamp between start time and end time, right? These are fields within that table, and where name equal to sysbox form, right? So and then based on that, they are selecting different fields from um, page views table. Okay, so you can create your dashboards from using Gusto queries. You can share this dashboard within your organization, right? So within your organization, or through simple, if you want to share with anybody, you can manage permissions using, you can share with email. Also, you can use Azure-based role-based security, right? As well to manage the permissions of these dashboards. Um, so now let's take a look at custom events, custom telemetry, right? How we can log our custom events. Okay. So in our presentation, Rakesh has already shown you guys about systelemetry logger class, right? I will talk about how you can log your own custom telemetry um, while executing any of your processes, whether it can be a custom process or standard process. For example, let's take example of sales order confirmation or sales or data management execution, project execution, right? If I want to log those custom telemetry events, how I'm going to log it? First step, in order to do that, what you need to do is in Microsoft telemetry samples, GitHub samples, which I posted in my first link, right? There are finance and supply chain related telemetry samples Microsoft has posted. So what I did is I downloaded that form, that GitHub repo, and imported those objects in my Visual Studio. Now there are two ways you can either map that repo on your local on your VM or local machine if you're using local machine, and then use it within your VM, right? Not local machine, but we use it within your VM. Or you can, once you download those repositories, you can simply, if you don't know how to do that, what you can do is simply, let me show you quickly. I have downloaded this repository on my local here. You can simply go to sample extensions in metadata, um, this folder, and within this folder you will find classes, tables, what they have developed, right, from Microsoft. You can simply copy those classes within your own package or model, and then you can try to customize, you can use those classes as for your reference, and then you can customize your own classes to log your event. So I'll go through the same sequence as Rakesh has shared in his slides. So first class is my telemetry base. This is again a Microsoft provided class where it is basically using the system sys telemetry global telemetry logger class as a reference. This is abstract class. Using that class, what we are doing simply in this class is we are adding a bunch of properties here. See this add base property method, um, which we want to log. Okay, so once this class, you have this class, and see the process event method is going to be called from our another class, which let me show you. So for example, let's take an example of DMX execution, for example, okay, and sales order. So this is my telemetry based class, right? For sales order confirmation, I created another class called telemetry sales order confirm. Okay, in this class is going to extend the telemetry based class, And if you look at this, then the new method of this class, when you're going to instantiate this class, it's adding the base property what we want to log, right? So for example, the parameter for this class is sales table and error. In I want to log error in the confirmation process or any packing slip process or invoicing process. I can send that error from when I'm going to call that method from the place from where I want to trace that event or track that event, right? So for that particular purpose, we are adding these properties, right? And then um, adding that property. That's the only purpose of this class, and just some other methods, whether I want to log the event or not, and the populate properties, right? With the time. Once this class is ready, the next step is, you know, form letters. I customize this form letter service class because I want to log this during my sales order confirmation process. So as you can see over here, the cell is this is is nothing but a instance of the telemetry sales order confirmation class where I'm passing the sales table and just saying app insights testing sales order confirmation over here, right? And then I'm just processing this event from here, saying this is my sales order confirm event, which I want to log in my app insights. Okay. So this is one example. Another example is DMF execution workspace, definition workspace, where for each execution which I'm doing in DMF, I want to log those events, right? So for that also, we have created like this class telemetry data management. Within this class, you can see again, we are taking we are populating properties, different properties, which we want to log, like definition, group, execution ID, number of records processed, right? Target, number of target updated, number of target new, these kind of records, right? How many records were there, total number of records. All this I want to log in my telemetry. So for that also we created this class. Within new, we are passing the DMF definition execution history table here, and the start time and end time for that, and then logging, always logging that event, right? So, um, yeah, Devasis, we will answer your questions when we get to the question and answers session. Okay. Um, so um, so this is again another class which is extending my telemetry based class, right? And then this is the MF definition execution history table extension we have created, and we are logging, you know, just the telemetry import through telemetry import class. We are logging the processing the event here, right? So processing this event. So let's take a look at quickly look at the um, DMF execution, how it works, and then we'll go back to the slides for Rakesh to cover the cost and uses of application insights, right? So what I will do, I will quickly go to my um, developer instance. And for this particular demonstration, I will switch my application insights workspace to my dev instance because this is a custom development which is not deployed on tier 2 environment. So I'll go to my dev instance and close this. And because these are events which I'm logging, not page views, right? These are getting stored in custom events table. So I'll quickly run the custom events tables to show you what I logged earlier, but I'll show you in live demo as well, um, how we can see these custom events. Okay, so let me go to my another project and go to cloud hosted environments and log into this environment. So I'll do the simple demo of, my favorite importing group, which is a customer group, which is a simple import, right? I'll go over here. I'll just add the file, and I'm not updating or um, um, I'm just simply updating the data within the system, not creating anything new, just for the demonstration purpose. how this just event gets logged when we execute these data projects, right? So I'll just see like my customer groups import. Yes. No, and close this and click import. So once this execution finishes, right, you will see um, DMF execution, um, over here once this execution is finished. The time this execution finishes, I'll go to the another dashboard, right? I want to show you one more thing in this dashboard for the error dashboard, right? For let me select the DMF error dashboard over here, okay, and create that. Um, Let me quickly change the data source for this as well. And so the DMF dashboard, I need just subscription ID. So I'll just take the subscription ID from my Dev workspace. Connect. Close. So right now I don't have any error data, but I want to show you one more thing about Custo queries is like this is the all DMF errors get logs is in custom events table, right? As I earlier said. Now when you see if this Custo query in custom events, there is a pipe and after that where custom mentions.json attributes, right? So what I want to show you is within this um, within this, see now, this is the last event which got executed is logged just now here. We got customer groups, and you can see within these custom events, the properties which we said we want to log got logged within this custom dimensions. Say customer groups, number of records 7, elapsed milliseconds, 30 seconds, right? All these properties which we want, which I have shown you in that class, oh, got logs over here. 1 second, sorry, my laptop is running low on battery. Let me connect that. Okay, so these properties get logged over here. So the purpose of importing DMF dashboard is, see, you can read from this custom dimensions array field as well. You can read the data in your Custo queries, right? When I say, so that is the advantage of Custo queries. You can read structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data using Custo queries. So here within this custom dimensions is another field within our custom views table using the JSON attribute which contains DMF. They are filtering all the data and showing that data on this dashboard you from custom events table specific to those DMF errors. So this is how you can utilize some samples provided by Microsoft queries, and you can change these and you can create your own queries and create your own dashboards. Back to you, Rakesh, for the covering the demo cost and uses related to application insights.
Yeah, thanks, Sukhru. But before I go there, is there any questions? Let's try to utilize this time. I think Debashish, you are having some question, right? Satish, you as
Yeah,
well.
my
Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah, you're
Yes.
audible.
So my question was about the costing part and the license cost, which you will be covering. Okay,
Yeah.
so my question was that. Anyway, you will cover that.
Okay, that's fine. What about Satish?
Yeah, for example, as of now, I'm aware this telemetry service is provided by Microsoft because of huge data we are storing, right? So my previous project and all, whatever telemetry trace we are doing, right? Microsoft only helped us because of they have the capability of the supercomputer or something like that. Because every time I we go for this telemetry service, it go for a trillion GB type of storage while tracking. So while we are configuring, we are able to capture that much level, or how it should be?
So you must be tracking too much then, right? Because you are going at trillion records. It really depends, what you want to track. You can control that, right? As well as you have retention policies. You want to how long you want to retain your data, whether you want to retain data for 30 days, 90 days. Rakesh will cover that in his slides. But to answer your question, it really depends. Do you want to retain that much of data? Do you want to incur that much of cost, right? It really the cost is um, uh, we'll share the link where they have if you go to Azure monitoring link, and for App Insights you look at the pricing. There is there they have mentioned what kind of logs you have, auxiliary logs, um, and different kind of logs. I think there are three types of logs they have mentioned and different costing for that, right? So it really depends what you want to log, how many days you want to retain those logs, and depending on that, it's going to be your cost is going to be decided on that, right?
Okay, is my understanding is correct? Whenever we had a issue, then only we are trying to capture this, right? We don't want to do this for a regular activity, correct?
No, I think
Um,
if you look at any implementation project, Satish, we need to have at least two types of requirement, right? One is a functional requirement, and second one is a non-functional requirement. Correct?
Yes.
Functional requirement means a requirement where business wants to see how they can optimize the business process and they can see the return on investment by enabling the sales order processes, transfer order processes, purchase order processes, whatever the case may be. Whereas the IT side of the story, they try to focus more on the non-functional requirement, correct? And that is where the NFR comes into picture. When the NFR comes into picture, one of the aspect alongside of the story of the security is your logging mechanism, right? Because often business user will try to record the issues from a implementation perspective or from a support perspective, and they will always mention that, look, these are the information that we are not able to see correctly in the application. So how are you going to diagnose that issue, right? So you need to capture at what time that user has logged in, what activity that user has performed. Say, for example, a user started crying maybe during the afternoon time that they are using the sales order form, and that particular time the sales order form takes a lot of time while opening and while closing, right? So as a technical consultant, how you're going to diagnose that issue? First of all, you have to understand the pattern, correct? Then probably you will collect the traces from a dynamics perspective, and then you will import the traces into the trace parser tool and see what actually happening under the hood. But before you go there, if you have this sort of telemetry enabled, at least you will proactively act upon it, right? At what time that user has logged in, what activity that user has performed, so that your direction to diagnose the issue will be more faster than ever, correct? That's the whole idea behind this Azure application app insert. So it's up to business. It's not that you have to always enable after go live. It has to be enabled during the cycle of that implementation process.
Okay, understood. Yeah, and
right.
one more
And
last question. For
Yeah.
example, we are additionally adding some code, right? So this also will be taking some time to keep all these logs, right? So uh, how we can figure out this? For example, you mentioned one issue of the user is logging some evening time. It takes some time. So we have already enabled this telemeter, but we are not sure the delay is because of exactly in D365 or only for this log. So how we can differentiate this? Is there any
Absolutely
way?
right. I think it's very valid question. May or may not be, because in many implementation, Dynamics 365 serves the purpose as a backend system, right? Where we are feeding a data, we are getting a data from a different application. That's the reason when, although the topic today is very specific for telemetry and monitoring aspect for finance and operation app, but if you remember the architecture diagram that I was trying to highlight earlier, right? If I just go back to my slide deck, this is a slide deck, right? So in this slide, I just trying to highlight the multiple sources. That is where this is a one single shop for you to bring all the applications together, and then you can have a triage in terms of whether it's an issue or a bottleneck within finance and operation app, or it's a upstream system or downstream system, right? It is not very specific for only finance and operation app. This app insights is going to be used.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's look at the next topic, and then maybe the best is I'll try to address your question as well. So first and foremost, any service that comes with from Azure services perspective, that comes with a list of pricing tiers, right? And those pricing tiers are going with your specific pay-as-you-go model. But before we go there, there are two aspects that we should understand when it comes to the billing aspect of application insight. One, whenever you have that enabled, there are two aspects. One is the data ingestion, and that's what the amount of telemetry of data that your application transcripts. I think you are, I think Debashis, you are asking question that for a million or trillions of data, right? Second aspect, the data retention. It means the length of the time that you want that data to be available for your triaging purpose, right? So let's go and understand the pricing tier first. If you just navigate to this Azure monitoring pricing engine, where you will see this portal, there are a bunch of plans available. I'll not go into more detail because those are very specific for need of that specific R, but it comes with very, very cheap price where it comes with the auxiliary log and basic log or analytics logs. Again, it is up to in your scenario. If you want to really go for the trillion sort of thing, then definitely analytical log probably would help in terms of the storing the capacity and in terms of the retention capacity. But from a capability of App Insights perspective, if I just navigate to the next slide, where you would see it allows two respective options. One, your daily cap. So you can define your control, your cost by applying the cap to the amount of the data that you want to collect per day. For example, if you go for auxiliary table, then that plan will be automatically subject to whether that daily cap is over or not. So that switch you can enable. At the same time, by default, it allows the 31 days of retention, which is included in your any plan. So if you want to just increase the data retention, but obviously you can go by default 90 or over 90, then that policy also can be set. And then based on that, the billing is going to be charged, or the charges that is going to be applied as per the plan is going to be applicable. So I'll take a pause here and then I'll try to address Debashis your question.
So, so Rakesh, my question about this is about the cost and the estimation, how much it will cost to my client. So that's what. Anyway, the policies we have seen, yeah, this seems to be okay.
Okay.
Hope I.
Eh, Yeah. Any further question?
Mm, Rakesh Bhushan
Sorry,
here.
I was.
Yeah, Bhushan.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, like now this give insight. So, is there any mechanism which says the root cause or troubleshooting next level of message capture all the detail, and then it is there a capability available which pinpoint the issue or more visual way to identify the problem, or all this then rest of the things are manual, right? As you said, like, yeah, then we have to relate that and we have to do troubleshooting, and these are the data points captured by this analytic framework or tool. So I think that's the next thing which can be added to
So,
this.
so if you ask me, Bhushan, I look at in a different way. So, say for a had it been a case that we were not having this sort of app insights, right? What we used to do earlier, we used to just collect the database log, which is very limited in nature, or we might have some sort of custom telemetry aspect, and then we go into more detail in terms of. So, issue could be anything. So, take an example that you are having a tough integration or poor integration aspect for your mission critical application, which actually sends the information of your purchase order from finance and operation app to the vendor portal, right? And you cannot have the zero tolerance limit in terms of you cannot afford a delay, because if the purchase order that you recorded is not recorded into the vendor system, the vendor is not going to acknowledge, and if the vendor is not going to acknowledge, then vendor is not going to supply the material. It means that application process integration is very critical. Say for example, if you don't have the scenario, for some reason the API call that you're sending, the information that you're sending, and you don't have the app insights, it will be very difficult for you to diagnose the issue where the information is lies within the finance and operation app or it is crossing the boundary of finance and operation app, right? So definitely you'll spend days and days and month to understand, or probably you'll go with your I would say a
Like,
guesswork that could be issue with finance and operation app, right? Yeah.
does it capture the response also, like API call MAD from Dynamics? Does it capture the response also?
It does capture the
Or the
response. It does capture the response as part of dashboard. That's the reason the alert feature comes into picture, right? So you can set up alert. So that capability we cannot build from scratch within finance and operation app, right? That's the reason this is a bunch of ability that you should have within your entire ecosystem so that you can define the limits. So for example, my so and so transaction goes up to this limit, then I can set up alerts, or any errors comes in, I can set up alerts so that I can have that sort of preventive action maintenance sort of the thing rather than the reactive mode.
yeah, Rakesh, just one last question. So like
Yeah.
in, especially on the exceptions and hidden. So like, does it recommended also, like, yeah, this exception occur, and then does the system tell what is the recommendation or how to troubleshoot it? Or,
See,
You
first
or
of
can log
all,
a you can log a
yeah, go ahead, Super.
trace. No, I was talking about you can log a trace, which will give you a trace similar to what you get in LCS, right? Where you get trace um class trace, right? Class from which class this particular um within, for example, if you take example of custom integration, you're talking about custom integration. Within your custom integration, you can log always, log custom application events. You can log it to your application insights. Instead of logging events, you can log it as a trace, right? So anywhere, always, if you think that your integration is critical, you can always send traces to your application insights, where you can, later you can utilize that for tracing, from where my error is coming, or if it reached my trace in application insight, you'll get a call stack from that, and you can figure it out what's going on. Another thing which I haven't talked about is another slow running queries. You have slow running queries in LCS. Similarly, within your custom events table over here in application insights, you get slow running queries as well. Those also gets logged. So you can, and there is a slow queries dashboard available, which you can download from the GitHub. You can import it, and you will be able to see slow running queries from your environments as well over there. You can then get those queries, and similar to, like, right now also we have to get those queries, analyze, look at their execution plan, and based on the execution plan, we have to take our actions, right? So that process is still manual.
And I would like
yeah,
to add one more point here, Bhushan. Sorry to cut you short, Bhushan. So say for example, you record all the types of exception that occurs within the X++ code, whether it's a standard code or whether it's a custom code, right? So as a technical consultant, you are fully aware that what actions that you have to perform if this particular error is being recorded from X++. For an example, you have some custom method written, which is a batch job running as a class, and there is a multiple update conflict happening, right? So that is recording the exception into the X++ code. So you will see that entire trace from a tracing in the custom event table of Azure App Insights. Now the further action, that is what your question is, right? That how I'm going to act upon it, whether I need to look at that piece of code. So that trace log will tell you which class that is being executed in the past and why the issue is coming. Second action that you have to take. So you can build your own dashboard. You can have a filter criteria inside the Kusto query and build a dashboard such a way that if the update conflict happen, it means that should highlight in different color, and that color indicates as a lesion that I need to see which database or which SQL queries are actually getting called within that call stack, right? So that you can take an act upon it, and then you can have a further remedy on that. That's what my take on this solution.
yeah, understood. Like all data points are there, and then we have to build a right dashboard to get those insight and to expedite the resolutions.
It's
I
the
Or
think
raw
say for
data,
example,
right? App
yeah,
Insight is
raw
providing
data.
you raw data,
Uh,
unstructured data.
In fact, you can also set up alert. If I go back to the same scenario, you can also set up alert that today in a day, I cannot afford more than 100 update conflict errors. I want to shoot out an alert so that it is going to be connect to my technical team or admin teams to see what's happening, why this update config is happening multiple times. So those alerts proactively also you can set up and measures that metric. I mean,
Yeah, I
there is a,
understand. Yeah,
yeah,
alert is a good mechanism. Like then we don't need to dive in. The moment something happen, it's very specific alert, and then we can act upon it.
yeah. But that rule you have to define, Bhushan. At this stage, there is no co-pilot as such, which would allow us to define. But yes, maybe tomorrow there might be some co-pilot which will analyze your dashboard and tell you that you define these rules for the alerts.
Yeah, understood. Thank you. It's yeah, really insightful. I think there are a lot of challenge in productions where some services are down. So yeah,
Yeah,
day-to-day challenges there to maintain the
yeah,
environment.
I understand. I can understand. I can understand. And a lot of scenarios that you will also agree with me, Bhushan, that you might have faced, but I faced in the past multiple times that always customer record that this is the issue, and if you try to deep dive you will not be able to figure out what's happening in the background, right? Because sometimes the data is being logged into temporary table, sometimes it's storing into a sys log, so we are not able to figure out. So that correlation was missing, right? So with the help of App Insight you can at least have that sort of data and then act upon it.
Yeah, really, because for this, every time we have to reach out to MS team, they have access to this and then they share.
Yeah,
But we enable, I think, first of end of analysis can be done by us, and then of course MS team
and
is
then of
there.
course, yeah, of course, then we can connect with Microsoft team in case we don't have any specific access. Okay, any specific question? Mohammed, Satish, Rupam, Shashi, Yogendra, Akash, Kizar. I think I'll take it as a no. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. It was really a good learning session for all of us. And thank you, Sukrat, for joining and giving us an idea on this, how to configure and enable the custom telemetry access into the finance and operation app. Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
all for joining. Yep.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you both
Thank you.
giving your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.